Hail, Internet! It's Paul, it's Matt, the Dork Lords. We are here today talking about Season 2, Episode 1 of the Apple TV sci-fi series Severance.
Yeah.
Episode entitled, Hello, Miss Cobel. We'll talk more about the nature of this show in a sec. So excited it's back. Fantastic show, 10 out of 10. Just up front, I'll say, if you're just now finding the show, do yourself a favor and watch Season 1 first.
Yes.
I mean, it's awesome, for one thing, but it'll also have a major effect on your enjoyment and understanding of Season 2. So, all right, that said, we open where we ended, or Season 1. At the end of Season 1, Innie Mark had just realized that Outie Mark was married to the woman he knows as Miss Casey. Outie Mark thinks his wife died in a car accident. Innie Mark knows different.
Well, now he does, yes.
So he has just enough time to blurt out, "She's alive!" to a room full of people, including, notably, his sister Devon, before the overtime contingency gets deactivated, meaning Innie Mark is no longer in the outside world. At the start of this season, Innie Mark wakes up back at Lumon. He races to the wellness center, expecting to find Miss Casey, a.k.a. Gemma, but the wellness room has been decommissioned and the interior doors have been plastered over. Mark then heads back to the Macrodat refining department, hoping to find his Innie friends, but instead finds a whole new team of co-workers. We end with the team back together. Mark, Dylan, Helly, and Irving. They've made a pact to figure out what's going on at Lumon and to find and rescue Mark's wife, Gemma. As Mark makes entries on his keyboard, he reaches 68% completion, and we get a quick computer screen flash seeing that the 68% completion appears to somehow be associated with a Project Cold Harbor. And Gemma's face is on the screen. Mysteries abound.
Yes.
The show's full of them. It's awesome. All that said, Paul.
Yes.
What'd you think of Season 2, Episode 1?
A lot of, my excitement for the show, I think fed my enjoyment that it was back. However, something I've always felt about these kind of shows where there's like a mystery and people are like trying to figure out exactly what is the mystery.
Right.
I felt this way about Lost, and I felt like people who were thinking, okay, I know what this story's about. It's X or Y or Z, and nobody thinks it's about the same thing. Right. That eventually, as the show goes on, you'll start to become, oh, it's not what I thought it was. Somebody else is right, and I'm
Expectations
wrong.
Don't get met, and then you judge the show based on this weird expectation you had, as opposed to just appreciating the show on its own merits. I think is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was a surprise to me, and it wasn't bad necessarily, that it was all Innie. No outside world at all.
We're all inside Lumon. Yeah.
Yeah. The most important thing to me is the characters, and so we saw more with the characters, and that's good.
We did. And there were some really interesting character interactions.
However, we only had a half, because they wanted to stick in these other characters.
The new ones.
I feel like that was like for effect. It's like we get less story.
I did love seeing Bob Balaban as Mark W. I mean, that actor. I mean,
He's
I loved him in.
He's Catch-22. I mean, come on, It's like,
but he was also in all the Christopher Guest mockumentaries.
Yes, of course. Yes.
Waiting for Guffman, best mockumentary of all time.
No, and of course, fun roles in Seinfeld. He's a legend.
But the scene in which Mark S. tries to frame Mark W. is pretty hilarious. I mean, I'm almost to the point of like, maybe he didn't expect to get away with it, because he doesn't even disguise his handwriting, and he's just like, what? I don't even know what you're talking about. Huh?
Well, he's not a spy, okay?
Yeah, right. And
he's not even aware of like spy movies.
And his brain only works in certain ways, and he doesn't have experiential learning or whatever. I think it's, yes, he had attempted to do something devious, not realizing, oh, it's actually really obvious that it was me. But anyway, so that was effective, and but I get your point that you wanted more time maybe with our four main cast folks together.
And unfortunately, I mean, again, I think if it focused on the characters, I think I'll be fine. But I'm starting to wonder sometimes if they put something in just to be weird, and probably Miss Wong is not going to be anything other than weird, is my feeling. And
maybe
it's like why are they putting children? I mean, it's not our Earth, I guess.
Well, they're right. We'll talk about that. There are reasons to think this is like an alternate Earth, perhaps. But yeah.
Yeah. But okay. So
I could imagine.
We'll
I'm about to just break the thing you were just saying. I hope this doesn't degenerate into people making theories, and then those theories don't come off. But I'll say one possibility for Miss Wong would be the idea that perhaps we've already seen that they can do some pretty sci-fi-y things with memory.
Yeah.
And so is it possible that this entire project, or some portion of this project, the Kier Egan thing, is to essentially have a form of immortality where you put people's memories into younger and younger bodies? And so perhaps Miss Wong isn't actually a little kid.
Oh,
it's just a little kid's body, but has a memory of somebody older, maybe. Anyway, just throw that out there.
Sure, yeah.
But when that doesn't come true, I won't be upset.
No, you've committed.
I'm committed now. I'll be like,
what are you going to eat
I hate
if
this
it's
show.
not true? What?
That's right. I'm out. Peace out.
Anyway, but, it was interesting with Milchick and Dylan.
Yeah.
And two, it's like it seems, I don't know, it's like over time, especially hearing that people are theorizing it, that it seems like it's Helene and not Helly that's there.
Yes, I'm in that camp that thinks that it is Audi Helly, not Innie Helly.
Her name is Helene.
Hey, well, while we're on that topic, I do feel like it is Helene pretending to be Helly.
Yeah. And it's interesting how it was sort of underscored how she could do that, in the fact that they did have cameras and they were taping them so they could use the actual sounds of their rebellion in the
the actual quotes.
Yeah, because they actually had them all recorded, and so they could just go back. They just probably don't have the manpower or the motivation to look at it all the time. It's just,
and so Helene could even watch that footage and
yes.
to more effectively be her Innie, to be Helly.
Yeah.
Which is also probably why, assuming that's true, again, I'll be terribly upset if it's not true, and we'll stop watching the show. No, but that could be why.
No, we'll do a hate watch show.
Yeah. That's right. We'll hate watch it. That's what we'll do. But that could be why Lumon is so seemingly willing to remove the cameras, because they don't need them.
Yes,
they have a spy on the inside.
Yeah, and it's very pointed the fact that she's the one who's always reminding everybody, wait, where's that camera? Because
right.
We shouldn't talk about what we're going. Oh, the camera's gone, and then she's like, she said there's no microphones, and Dylan is still doubting it, but enough so that they could talk about it.
I'd be doubting it.
Yeah.
Guys, how they can fit cameras in anything. But yeah, so I feel like maybe when Mark S. demanded to speak to the team, when he did his little race out, did his desperate plea to the board, I think Lumon decided that they needed to know what the team knows. Why does Mark want to meet with this? Why does he want to speak with them? Oh, maybe they know more when they did their little plan, the Macrodat uprising. So instead of simply just erasing Mark's memory, they want to know what, if something happened that where other people might know. What is the extent of the conspiracy? And so who better to infiltrate than, the future leader of Lumon? And so you get this, they arrange for Helene to come back and pretend to be Helly. And plus, and let's face it, it's a really tempting narrative outcome, right? The Innies temporarily escape. Then they're all brought back together. How would the Innies know if one of them was an outie pretending to be an Innie? I assume eventually, if that's the case, Mark will figure it out. But it's just fun. That's a fun narrative little plot point to include. So I'm all for it. Also interesting, like I was listening to her dialogue when she's talking to Mark, and she says this thing, which on its face sounds like, oh, that's something that Helly would say.
Yeah, you're talking about when she says, we can't trust we don't owe them anything.
Correct. She says, we're not the same, actually. Us and the outies, we're not. Speaking for myself, I don't think we owe him shit.
Yeah.
I mean, you can easily flip that to, that's my viewpoint as Helly.
Yeah.
Assuming that happens, there'll be a fun reveal if that comes about.
Yeah, but also though too, it makes it even more important to get a sense of who Helly is, right? Because it's like she was the most unlikely to come back, and yet
because we actually went back and watched our recap of the finale of season 1, and that was. It's particularly you. It was our major talking point of like, why on earth? Other than Mark, who wants to get Gemma back, maybe. Why would anyone else come back? You're right.
Irv is the other person though who, because he did know something about that. So Dylan was right to task Irving with finding out what that door meant, because it's important to his outie. So, he has a motivation too. We don't know enough. It's nice though that I didn't imagine that Dylan had a wife. So I thought he was just a single father. So if
so
Milchick is to be believed, he's got a wife.
And you mentioned the Milchick Dylan scene. So what Milchick does there is he gives him the outie family visitation suite plans.
And what did he say?
Or not, but
he's
like, plans.
Is this mean that? And he's like, if you take it at face value, you would think
exactly.
That, wouldn't you? What the fuck?
I know, what a way of like saying it in a way that's I'm lying, but anyway. But yeah. So and then the fact that he says, hey, let's keep it a secret between us because they don't have families, and so they don't. You don't want them to feel jealous. But it's kind of a little way to say, like, all right, Dylan, now you keep a secret from your other folks, And
it feels like something that he wouldn't go too many episodes before he does tell them.
No, I think you're right. Although, let's assume for a second it's true. I mean, maybe we have a Dylan meeting with his wife and getting to see his family in some weird context. Obviously, it won't just be, it'd be like, you sit and watch, and they say specific words or something.
Yeah.
But if that's true, then he'd have reason to be like, well, I'll just let. He'll need some kind of other force to maybe counteract that, to say like, what is worth me turning down the opportunity to do this family visitation suite? Oh, I know, helping Mark get Gemma back, or Irv. Whatever. Something would need. He'd have to make a choice. All right. I know if I do this, I will sacrifice these weird visits I get with my family. Maybe. I mean, I'm just throwing that out there, but yeah. That could be. But
the other thing that occurred to me though is the number of times where Dylan associated people, Innies, sort of leaving with death. Certainly in the course, in example of Irv, who would leave and then presumably never go back, except that they still don't have a way with communicating with their outies. So, you could leave, but then what's to stop that outie from coming back the next day? Come back the next day and then putting you back in there. I guess you eventually be like, whoa, what am I doing out so early in the day? I don't know.
No, but I did get that sense of Lumon definitely wants these Innies to stay, at least long enough for them to understand how far the conspiracy is, or maybe it's just a PR thing too. Look, they had an uprising, but they came back because we made these wonderful changes about pineapple bobbing.
Yeah. Oh, and what do you make the hall pass to be about?
Right, I assume. Well, in fact, there's a little in that the newspaper article that
Oh, you frozen and read it?
Yeah, if you zoom in, there's a bit about like I forgot the exact verbiage, but it's something like basically you can have, sexual liaisons at work kind of thing. It's like, oh crap, okay.
Oh, I wondered if what they were talking about was because it was like they had the hall pass and they seemed to disappear or go up. And so what I thought it was is you get to leave, your consciousness gets to leave and go out into the world.
You could completely be right.
I think actually to me that would be opening up a big can of worms, so it probably isn't that.
I've got the picture. I'm going to bring up what the exact verbiage is in the paper. Top of the line, recreational facilities, sexual liberation, improved snacks. So anyway, so sexual liberation is apparently, I think, hall pass.
Yeah, that could be.
Anyway.
Yeah, because that's obviously, it was one of the focuses there, which is romance.
Right. But yeah, so Lumon obviously wants these guys to stay, at least for now. And so giving them the freedom to choose to leave seems on its face like a big risk. Oh, well,
right.
Sure, they just leave. But it's not just leaving. As you just pointed out, it's in their minds ceasing to exist, perhaps. So it's almost like will you commit suicide? Anyway, so I feel like there was maybe Lumon was banking on the fact that extra pressure would make them think like, you know what, I'll take the devil I know instead of like stepping into non-existence.
I guess, except that the they don't phrase it that way though. So, because what did he say? He said maybe we'll have a drink in a bistro. So even though it wouldn't be because their consciousness could only exist in Lumon, or if they were to sort of turn it on, the ability to have the consciousness go over there, but there'd be no need to do that.
No, he would be having a drink in a bistro with the Audi is what he'd be doing.
Right, exactly.
Right. Yeah. And then, seeing that scene where Irv is determined to leave and Dylan's trying to keep him from leaving, and leaving in Irv's mind means I want to cease to exist because I don't want to deal with the pain of having this person that I have feelings for, is in love with someone else. And so that was a pretty impactful scene. I liked that.
Yeah, it's a very good scene. But it's like, one of the things that they still aren't encouraging, and it's the extent of the updates or whatever that Lumon has done, changes aren't very significant at all. One thing you might think might happen is some sort of communication between, it's like while Mark is single, his sister could visit him.
Right, and Mark isn't single in a way. I mean, he is.
Yes, right, but as far as they've admitted, they're not talking about his wife.
He's technically, Audi Mark does not think he's married because he thinks his wife is dead, although technically she's not. But yeah, and we've talked about this a little bit in season 1, but the idea that maybe this isn't like, current day Earth or whatever is. We get in that Macrodat video, so the Macrodat Uprising video.
Yes.
Which it sounds, I don't know, I didn't see the credits, whether, it sounds like Keanu Reeves narrating that thing.
It's listed in IMDb, I just saw it today.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah,
Keanu Reeves narrating, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
But he says, Lumon is operating in 206 countries, which is more than currently exist. And like in season 1, in that newspaper article, there's a reference to the newspaper. It's like the Kier Chronicle or whatever, and it says it's a newspaper in Kier, PE.
There's no state
with the PE. There's no PE
state
abbreviation.
So
suggesting there's like a whatever. There's an Egan state or something. But So I think there's a little bit of alternate Earth happening here. Yeah, the Uprising video was pretty funny. A couple of things about that were funny. Irving laughs at the jokes.
Yes.
So it's like, no running in my halls.
Yeah.
That tickles.
Irving's
laughing. And then Dylan's clapping at the end of it. Like, do I clap?
Yes.
Is that a thing? Also, the fact that one of the perks, there's the pineapple bobbing, but also there's the mirror room.
Oh,
so
yes.
There's like I need a Hall of Mirrors callback to this setup. So at some point, I want someone to be hanging out in the Hall of Mirrors. I mean, how creepy would that be? Just like, what the hell? The perfect perk to have at Lumon is the Hall of Mirrors. Dylan was the kind of the king of funny quotes in season 1, and he had some more in this one.
Yes.
I liked. There are 3 lines that I noted that I appreciated from Dylan. So one, they're almost all in connection to Irving, but so Irv says like, "I woke up standing in front of an easel."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Wait, they have those up there?"
Yeah.
Like, easels! Oh my god, that's amazing! Wow.
Yeah.
And when he sees that Irv is upset, his response is,
"Oh,
Irv, what's wrong?
Yeah.
Are you poor up there?"
Yeah.
And then when he's trying and he successfully convinces Irv to stay, the way he does it is he says this like, because I would be sad, like if Irv left. And he says, I would be less productive.
Yeah.
And I'm really good at what I do here, whatever it is. Which goes back to that whole point that who knows what they're doing. They're just pushing numbers into crates. But yeah. So anyway, Dylan continues to be the king of the lines. Sure. That newspaper article that Milchick shows to Mark to prove that, oh, look, you guys had. I mean, that is.
I feel like that picture of all of them in the car
it's
in
obviously
the parade. Yeah.
It is a superimposed photo. In fact, I looked it up. It's a parade photo of President Eisenhower.
Yeah.
Like, that's how long ago that photo's from.
Yeah.
So it's. I don't know if that was actually put in the paper, and then the paper, or is that a paper created to show Mark? Either way, it's fake.
Right.
I
feel like it's the type of thing that a newspaper might do if they were giving, like, because I feel like there's a lot of.
It's the Keir Chronicle, so obviously it's connected to Lumon big time. So
right. But I feel like it's there are companies who put out like little newspaper kind of things.
Oh, true. Yeah.
And sometimes the companies will create an image that's giving an impression of something. So the idea that, they're famous, and so here's a way to show that,
Though I do feel like Milchick might be telling the truth when he says it's been 5 months. My first thought was Ed hasn't, but there's some trailer evidence suggesting that might be true. And then you think about the wellness room changes, that they plastered stuff over, that Milchick is now in Cobel's office.
Right.
I feel like all that would take more than a few hours to pull off.
Oh, yeah.
So I feel like it probably has been 5 months, perhaps.
Yeah, some people doubting that it's been 5 months. And while it's like, one, they're not aware of the effect, like, and why would that matter to them? Why would it matter to Mark if the thing that he felt as the next minute,
correct,
that it was 5 months
which is why when you
later.
see Irv is still knocking on the door of Bert's door when we see him, but that could easily be 5 months later. Yeah, because it's like the next thing he experiences. Right. Because probably for 5 months, Irv was like, hell no, I'm not going back, or whatever, and after it all came about, somehow they managed to convince Irv to come back.
Or how long does it take Helly to go through the mountains of footage and stuff, and sort of get coached on what she needs to do?
I saw something that suggested that this next episode is going to be maybe even completely an Audi.
Right, sure.
So we had the Innie episode, and I think episode 2 is going to be the Audi episode. So we'll probably see maybe what happened in this 5 month period to convince everybody to come back. Maybe.
Sure, maybe.
We're set up for some solid character work. Plus, we get these amazing plot twists and this sci-fi theme that really feels, while bizarre and in some ways just so fantastical, also pretty grounded in work culture. It's just anyway, it's on the nose.
Sure.
It's well done.
Sure.
It's well done. So I'm excited to see where this thing goes. And if season 1 is any indication, if they can, stick the landing like the end of season 1 was just amazing. They really built to a climactic finish.
Yeah.
And if they do that again, which reviews for this have been very positive, people who have seen the whole season. So
yeah,
I
that's
feel like
interesting that they give out if that's true, that they give out the whole season as opposed to
some people have watched like 6 episodes, but there have been some that have apparently seen the whole season.
Yeah.
We have not.
No.
But we will, given time. Maybe we're going to see it.
Yeah.
So
I'll check my mail to see if it's in the...
That's right. That's right. 9 weeks from now, we will have watched. But yeah, so if you out there have any fun theories or comments, feel free to make them. And we will see everybody next time for episode 2. Thank you as always, Paul. Appreciate it, sir.
No problem, sure.
And as I said, we'll see everybody next time.
Bye.